And that's segueing into what I wanted to talk to you about as well, about the interracial thing. I was gonna bring that up, but I always said that I feel like I fucks with you. You fucks with me. We know each other for years, so I don't see none of that. But so I just trying to explain to everybody how that works business wise, as far as when you become to do interracial scenes and anal and gangbangs, and that's not what you just start off doing. I think it's a progression and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So
agreed.
Business wise, I think that's a good decision to hold off to that shit until you need it, because the average female don't last till about 4 years. What do you think the average female will last? A good bad bitch.
It's really hard to say, because back then,
as far as shooting, not after you good. After that, I get it. Let's just went on to do other shit after that.
4 or 5 years.
Actual shooting, on set, waiting on your turn to shoot and all that.
Because for me, even like saying all that, like it took like 3 years of me doing like the work before I even got recognition from other people besides my peers. You know what I mean? And so it definitely is a business. It's one of those things where I can't speak for everybody and what the platform is, whatever, but for me personally, you know what I mean? Like the way that I got in the industry was very different at the time. It came into a whole thing where it was like reality porn. Like I came straight out of college. I came from being into, Texas and all that stuff. So people already put a stigma on my name and all these things. But for me, work-wise, my agent was very strategic. He was very like, girls do, like I said, even with the blowjob scenes, you do hand job and blowjob scenes and whatever. Then you do when you elevate after that, and not that you never did boy-girl, but they ask you what are your do's and your don'ts and all these things. So it's kind of like, it's a platter of sexual like appetite things that you put on your list when you kind of like sign up, and then they tell you, kind of walk you down as far as like what numbers are. And before I knew what was anything really going on, it became bigger, the whole interracial thing for me, than I felt like, because then there was forums, there was all these internet things, there was like, oh, she's racist, oh, she's this, and I'm like, why do I have to be anything because I'm not actually having sex with a black man on camera? Why does that make me racist? So then it was already in my ear, but it wasn't something that I didn't not do in my personal life, or that I hadn't not done, but people in the world don't know what I'm doing, you know what I mean? But what it looked like and appeared was like, oh, she's just a white girl from Texas, and her parents say no. Little like I'm Puerto Rican, like the background of what all that means. Like I was, a lot of other things that I felt like at that time too is like I didn't have to explain myself. If you wanted to ask me, I had people, conventions come up to me and ask me, and it's my opinion, and that's just what it was. But it was never because I never wanted to do it. And then at the time when it came to, the further my career went, it was so stigmatized that I was like, why should I? Because everyone was like, oh, this is the last thing you're gonna do. You're gonna sell out. You're gonna whatever. I'm like, why does that have to make it sell out? Like that's horrible to say that or to think that.
That's interesting you said. I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? So it's the stigma of both. But I didn't like either one, because it's like either way you're wrong. And then for me, it's like I again don't have to explain myself to anyone, because my peers and people who I love and in my life know that I'm not racist. They know that I love people of all colors. But again, for me is because I'm such the like, in my ways, and because I didn't want people to dictate what I did, was like, why should I have to give you something else because you want it one way or another, and then you're mad or you're not? And
was there ever a scene of you interracial? You never ever did it, right?
I worked with Marie Love and I worked with Cherokee. But then when I did even that in the beginning into the progression of anything, people were like, oh, that's not really interracial.
So that was a lie.
So why does that mean?
Somebody, I don't know why I heard it, or somebody
but see, it was all the
didn't, I don't know. No.
And then
no, that's cool.
Furthermore, like in the at that point in my career, when it came to that point, I was already out of, I was in a relationship, and my relationship didn't want me to work with anybody. And then I got out of the business. And so, unfortunately, that's just how my career, like that path went. So again, people are like, oh, you're racist, whatever. But like, why does it have to be that? You know what I mean?